I stand frozen at the back of the wedding reception hall, my wine glass trembling between my fingers. 250 elegantly dressed guests fall silent around me, their conversations evaporating like morning dew as Kendra's cutting voice slices through the room. "Well, look who decided to grace us with her presence," she announces, gesturing toward me with her champagne flute. My stepdaughter finally left her little taco truck business to join real society. The crystal chandelier light catches on my simple navy dress, the one I spent 3 paychecks on, hoping to fit in just this once. A mistake, clearly. The light fractures through my wine, casting blood-red shadows across my hand. I search for Tyler across the sea of shocked faces. My brother stands near the head table, his new bride clutching his arm. Something in my expression must register, because the hope I'd been nurturing all day crumbles as I watch him glance at our father instead of coming to my defense. "Maybe she's finally ready to stop playing restaurant and get a real career," my father adds, the words slurring slightly. He laughs, too loudly, the same booming sound that once meant safety before it became the soundtrack to my erasure. Across the room, Abigail, Tyler's new wife, catches my eye. Her lips form the words, "I'm sorry," while her hand tightens around Tyler's arm. Too little, too late. Behind her, the catering staff moves with quiet efficiency, setting up for dinner service. White-gloved hands arrange gleaming silverware. The servers' faces remain professionally neutral, though one glances my way with a furrowed brow. This morning seems a lifetime ago. Tyler's handwritten wedding invitation had arrived last month, the personal note at the bottom reigniting a hope I thought long extinguished. "I miss you, sis." After 5 years of silence, those 4 words were enough to make me believe reconciliation was possible. I'd spent hours preparing, choosing the perfect gift. A handcrafted copper cookware set that cost nearly a month's profit, practicing cordial greetings in the mirror. "Congratulations, Tyler." "She's lovely." "It's good to see you, Dad." "The venue is beautiful, Kendra." Rehearsed lines that now stick in my throat like fish bones. I'd even offered my catering services as a peace offering. "No pressure," I'd written in my response. "Just something to consider." Tyler's polite refusal came quickly. "Thanks, but we've already booked someone with more formal experience." Yet I came anyway, convinced that blood might finally be thicker than Kendra's influence. That same old foolish hope had me ironing my dress this morning, applying makeup with a steady hand, whispering, "Today will be different," to my reflection. The whispers start at the edges of the room, spreading inward like ripples in a still pond. I place my untouched wine on a nearby table with deliberate care. Nothing hasty. Nothing that could be construed as emotional. The crystal makes a small, clear sound against the polished wood. I walk toward the exit, back straight, chin lifted, each step measured and unhurried. The carpet muffles my footsteps. The whispers follow me like shadows. A young waiter steps into my path, his eyes widening in recognition. "Miss Sanchez? Are you—" I shake my head once, slightly, and he steps aside. The heavy doors close behind me with a soft thud that echoes in the empty hallway. In the sanctuary of the corridor, I pull my phone from my clutch. 3 missed calls from Marco, my operations manager. A text message appears. "Boss, aren't you at the Anderson Mills wedding? That's our new acquisitions event." I stare at the screen. Read the message again, then a third time. 2 weeks ago, we'd finalized the purchase of Elegant Occasions, a mid-sized catering company with an established client list. I'd been so busy with the acquisition paperwork that I hadn't reviewed their upcoming events roster. The realization hits me like a physical blow. I now own the catering company serving my brother's wedding. I lean against the wall, a laugh catching in my throat. My father and Kendra are in there mocking my little taco truck business while eating food provided by my company. The company that now employs 40 people. The company that grossed 7 figures last year. I straighten, tucking my phone away. The hurt transforms, hardens into something else entirely. My reflection in the mirrored wall shows a woman I barely recognize. Eyes clear, jaw set, shoulders squared. They have no idea who I've become when they weren't looking. And they're about to find out. My knuckles turn white against the steering wheel. The wedding venue shrinks in my rearview mirror, but the weight in my chest remains. I pull into a deserted scenic overlook, cut the engine, and let the silence wash over me. Rain patters against the windshield, a gentle rhythm that pulls me backward in time. I'm 15 again, standing beside my mother's casket, rain drumming on the funeral tent. My father shifts beside me, his gaze drifting across the gathering to land on Kendra Palmer, his administrative assistant. Their eyes meet, hold. My stomach twists with something I can't name. 6 weeks later, Kendra is helping us organize the house. I come home from school to find my mother's photos missing from the walls. "Where are the family pictures?" I ask, panic rising. Kendra's smile doesn't reach her eyes. "Your father and I agree that redecorating will help everyone move forward." She pats my shoulder. "Change is healthy, Elena." That night, I hunt through the house, finally discovering Mother's photos boxed in the attic. 3 months later, the boxes disappear entirely. When I confront my father, he sighs like I'm being difficult. "Kendra donated some old things. We can't live in a museum, honey." The memories cascade faster now. College application season, my father reviewing Tyler's essays while I work the night shift at Denny's Purple Aster. My brother's 18th birthday, a new Camaro, in the driveway with a giant red bow. My straight-A report card met with a distracted nod over my father's newspaper. The rain falls harder against my windshield, matching the rhythm of my heart. Then comes the memory that broke me. 4 summers ago, my roommate forwarding a real estate listing. "Isn't this your address?" The familiar colonial with the yellow door. "Sold," emblazoned across the photo. I call my father, straight to voicemail. I text Tyler, who responds with shocked emoji. He didn't know either. I drive 90 miles an hour on the interstate, skidding into the driveway as movers load the last furniture into a truck. The backyard, my mother's garden, her roses that I'd helped plant when I was 9 bulldozed into mud, a construction crew already marking the outline for the new owner's pool. My father emerges from the garage, clipboard in hand. "What's happening?" My voice sounds foreign, strangled. He checks his watch. "The closing was yesterday. We're just finishing up." "You sold our house without telling me?" Mother's garden is gone. Tears burn my eyes. Her roses. "You don't live here anymore anyway." He signs the clipboard, hands it to the foreman. "Kendra and I found a condo downtown, better for our lifestyle." "What about Mother's things, the keepsakes in the attic?" His eyes slide away. "We downsized significantly." 5 years of silence followed. 5 years of rebuilding myself from the ground up. I started with a single taco truck my senior year of college. Worked 18-hour days, slept on a cot in my apartment's walk-in closet to save on rent. Some nights, when catering events ran late, I curled up in the truck's back corner rather than drive home exhausted. 1 truck became 2. Then a brick-and-mortar kitchen. Then corporate contracts. While my father and Kendra dismissed my little hobby, I built something solid. 40 employees now depend on me. 7 figures in annual revenue. At every family gathering I wasn't invited to, Kendra would send messages through mutual acquaintances. "How's the cute food truck hobby going? Still playing chef?" My phone buzzes against the passenger seat, jolting me back to the present. Marco's name flashes on the screen. "Boss, you still there?" His voice sounds concerned. I pulled the contract. Elegant Occasions finalized the acquisition 3 weeks ago. It's legally under Elevated Events now. "Send me the contract terms." "Already did. Check your email." Marco hesitates. "Elena, I saw the security footage from the venue. The audio-visual team uploads it automatically to our system for event documentation." My stomach drops. "You saw what happened?" "Everyone did, the staff is." He searches for words. "They're pretty upset on your behalf." The email notification chimes. I open the attachment, scanning until I find it. Clause 8.3. Termination rights in cases of discriminatory treatment of ownership or staff. My phone buzzes again. Nina, my attorney since the food truck days, responding to my emergency text. Contract is ironclad, she writes. Discriminatory comments about business owner constitutes grounds for immediate service termination. Venue's security footage provides evidence. I stare at the rain-blurred lights of the city below. The wedding coordinator, Jaime, had recognized me at the reception. The subtle widening of her eyes, the quick professional recovery. Now it makes sense she's worked with elegant occasions for years. My finger hovers over Marco's number. One call could halt the entire reception dinner. No main course, no cake, no service staff. Part of me, the 15-year-old watching her mother's photos disappear, the college student working 3 jobs, the daughter finding her childhood home sold without warning, wants to make that call. But another part hesitates. Tyler's note. I miss you, sis. Maybe there's still a chance to rebuild. Then Kendra's voice echoes. My stepdaughter finally left her little taco truck business to join real society. My father's slurred addition. Maybe she's finally ready to stop playing restaurant and get a real career. I press the call button. Decision made. Marco, I need you to execute termination clause 8.3. My voice sounds calm, professional. CEO voice. Pack everything. No main course, no cake, no service staff. Silence on the other end. Is that clear? Crystal clear, boss. Marco's tone shifts to business mode. Consider it done. I slide behind the wheel of my Mercedes, hands steady as I reach for my phone. A strange calm washes over me, replacing the humiliation that burned my cheeks moments ago. The screen lights up with another text from Marco. Boss, need instructions. We're fully set up for dinner service. My thumb hovers over the call button. Through the windshield, I can see the reception hall's grand entrance where a server has just stepped outside for a cigarette break. He wears the elegant occasions uniform now, technically. I press call. Elena? Marco answers on the first ring. I thought you were attending as a guest? Change of plans. My voice sounds different, crisp, detached, all CEO. The voice I use in boardrooms when acquisitions are on the table. I need you to execute a full withdrawal. Immediately. Silence on the line stretches for 3 beats. A full error, you sure? The main course is prepped, cake's already on display. Pack everything. No main course, no cake, no service staff. I start the engine, the quiet purr matching my controlled tone. Tell everyone to leave, absolute professionalism. No explanations to guests. Marco clears his throat. This is your brother's wedding, right? Half-brother. The correction slips out before I can stop it. And yes. Another pause. I can picture Marco's expression, the furrow between his brows that appears whenever unexpected complications arise. You got it, boss. Clean exit, 15 minutes tops. His loyalty doesn't require explanation. He's been with me since the first food truck, sleeping in his car during those early catering events when we couldn't afford hotel rooms. Marco, when the venue coordinator asks why, and she will simply state that clause 8.3 of the contract has been triggered. Discriminatory treatment of ownership, he recites from memory. This isn't personal, I say, though we both know that's not entirely true. It's a business decision. I end the call and back out of my parking space, positioning my car where I can observe the service entrance without being seen from the main doors. Within minutes, I witness the silent ballet begin. White uniformed staff exit in small groups, carrying covered trays and equipment with practiced efficiency. The wedding cake, a 4-tier monstrosity that Kendra probably chose for the Instagram photos, disappears into the back of our largest refrigerated truck, carefully boxed. A text from Marco flashes on my screen. Venue coordinator intervening. Handled professionally. I can imagine the scene inside. The coordinator's growing panic as she realizes what's happening. Kendra's confusion turning to outrage. My father's demands falling on the deaf ears of venue staff, who have no authority to stop this. Another text. Tables being cleared now, minimal disruption. I zoom in on my rearview camera as one of our newer hires, Javier. I think his name is, loads the last of the crystal champagne flutes into a padded case. His movements are quick but careful, nothing rushed or dramatic. No one watching would realize this is anything but standard procedure. My phone buzzes persistently now. A call from an unknown number, likely the venue. Decline. A text from Tyler. What the hell is happening? Ignore. The wedding coordinator. Emergency, caterer leaving, call me. Delete. I pull away from the venue, driving toward the hill country outside the city. The sunset paints the sky in colors my mother would have loved, deep pinks fading to purple. She taught me to appreciate these moments, to find beauty even when life felt fragile. The sky never forgets to change, Elena, she'd say during her final months. Remember that nothing stays the same forever. 10 miles from the venue, I pull into a scenic overlook. The city glitters below, distant and small. My phone continues its symphony of alerts. The weight I've carried for years, the dismissals, the casual cruelty, the erasure from my own family narrative doesn't exactly lift. But something shifts inside me, subtle yet profound. This wasn't a screaming match or a dramatic scene, just business consequences for personal disrespect. For the first time in years, a genuine smile forms on my lips. Small, but real. I take out a business card, the new ones, with the embossed logo that took 6 design revisions to perfect, and write on the back. Contract terminated per clause 8.3, discriminatory treatment of ownership. My phone rings again, Tyler this time. I silence it and pull back onto the road, heading home. By now, 250 hungry guests are wondering where dinner went. Kendra is likely in full crisis mode. My father, never one to handle unexpected challenges soberly, is probably at the bar. None of them know who actually pulled the plug. The name Elevated Events Catering appears on the contract, not Elena Sanchez, estranged daughter and sister. The business was registered under my corporation, with Marco as the signatory on this particular event. The connection is there, but requires actual interest in my life to discover something my family has never demonstrated. As I navigate the evening traffic, the calls continue, growing increasingly desperate. Tyler, the venue, unknown numbers, and finally, my father. Years ago, that last one would have sent me into a spiral of anxiety and hope. Now, I simply connect my phone to the car speakers and let box cello suite number 1 drown out the notifications. Sometimes the loudest statement is the one made in silence. I turn onto my street, where my condo building rises against the darkening sky. The doorman nods as I pull into my reserved spot. He doesn't know about my evening, about the power shift that occurred without a single raised voice. "Evening, Miss Sanchez," he says, opening my car door. "Everything all right? You're home earlier than you mentioned this morning." "Everything's exactly as it should be, Frank," I answer. And for the first time in a very long time, I mean it. Sunlight streams through my kitchen window, casting honey gold patterns across the marble countertop. The coffee maker hisses and bubbles, a comforting morning ritual untouched by yesterday's chaos. My hands remain steady as I pour the dark liquid into my favorite mug, the one with hand-painted lilies that Mom gave me on my 15th birthday. My phone vibrates against the counter for the 19th time this morning. The screen illuminates with Tyler's name, joining the parade of missed calls and unread texts that began at dawn. I take a deliberate sip of coffee before finally glancing at his message. "Someone sabotaged our wedding. The caterer just disappeared. Dad's lawyer is involved. Call me back." The corner of my mouth twitches. I scroll through the digital avalanche, each message more frantic than the last. Kendra's text glows with barely contained rage. "Your father is furious about the wedding disaster. Good thing you weren't responsible. Wouldn't want to further disappoint him." Even now, she can't resist the barb. I play Dad's voicemail on speaker, his words slurring together like wet cement. Those criminal caterers. Breach of contract. Sue them into the ground. My golf buddy Jeff handles corporate litigation. I silence the phone mid-rant, the calm in my chest surprising me. The family group chat explodes with notification a digital wildfire of blame and outrage. Has anyone tracked down the company owner? Dad demands. I'm organizing the guests to write reviews, Kendra chimes in. We need to destroy their reputation like they destroyed our special day. Between their fury, a smaller voice appears, Tyler's new wife, Abigail. Maybe we should understand what happened before we attack them. Could there have been a misunderstanding? Her reasonable question vanishes beneath Kendra's response. No misunderstanding. They humiliated us in front of everyone who matters. I forward screenshots of everything to Martina, my lawyer. She responds within minutes. Security footage received from venue. Excellent documentation of the discriminatory treatment. The termination clause was textbookable. A tiny smile forms as I imagine her methodical approach. Martina had practically clapped when I showed her the venue's security footage yesterday evening. Kendra's theatrical mockery of my little taco truck business captured in high definition. My father's slurred reinforcement clearly audible. Your company's reputation remains spotless. She adds, 47 5-star reviews and not a single contract violation in 5 years. The evidence supports your position completely. My phone pings with a private message from an unexpected source, Mrs. Goldstein, Dad's longtime neighbor. Elena, I saw how they treated you at the wedding. Disgraceful at their age. Your mother would be horrified. I've watched you build that business from nothing while they dismissed you. Some might call this karma. 3 more supportive messages appear from guests who witnessed my humiliation. Then, most surprising of all, a text from Abigail. I'm so sorry about yesterday. This isn't what I wanted for our family's spring. I set my phone down, needing a moment to process this shift. 5 years of silence, and suddenly everyone has something to say. Marco calls while I'm refilling my coffee. Boss, you should know something, he begins, voice careful. Mrs. Anderson. Mills is organizing some kind of review campaign, but it's backfiring. 3 guests from yesterday's event have already called requesting quotes for their own functions. They were impressed with what they saw before. Well, before the service ended. I lean against my kitchen counter. And Kendra has no idea who owns Elegant Occasions? None. Your father's lawyer sent a threatening letter addressed to management. Should I forward it to Martina? Yes, I say, watching a hummingbird hover near my balcony flowers. Send everything. After we hang up, I check the family chat again. The tone has subtly shifted. Someone in aunt perhaps has asked my father if Elena was at the wedding. Another voice questions why the catering staff left so abruptly. The narrative Kendra tried to control begins to fray at the edges. My laptop chimes with an email from Martina containing a draft response to my father's legal threats. The offer: 40% refund, conditional on a signed NDA, and release of all claims. Her note reads, this acknowledges their inconvenience while maintaining your legal position. They'll take it. I close the laptop without responding immediately. There's no rush. For once, I hold all the cards in this family game. The coffee tastes particularly rich this morning as I gaze out at the city skyline. 5 years ago, I slept in my taco truck to save money. Today, I run a company that makes my father's lawyer nervous. These thoughts should feel like victory. Instead, I find myself wondering if Tyler's new marriage will become another casualty of our family's poisonous patterns. Even now, with everything that's happened, that thought brings no satisfaction. The phone rings again. This time I answer. I study my lawyer's face as she lays out the evidence before my father's attorney, a balding man whose silk tie cost more than my first month's rent. We sit in the sterile conference room of a downtown law office, neutral territory. As you can see, Miranda says, sliding the tablet across the polished mahogany, we have clear video documentation of the client's public humiliation at what was, technically speaking, her own business event. The video plays. Kendra's voice cuts through the room again. My stepdaughter finally left her little taco truck business to join real society. My father's laughter follows. Miranda taps a manicured finger on the contract. Section 8.3 explicitly states termination can occur in cases of discriminatory treatment toward ownership or staff. Miss Sanchez was well within her rights. My father's attorney, Mr. Benson, removes his glasses and pinches the bridge of his nose. His shoulders slump forward half an inch, enough for me to know we've won before he speaks. Given the circumstances, he says carefully, accepting the settlement offer would be advisable. The power has shifted. 5 years of dismissal, and now they sit across from me, negotiating on my terms. Across town, Kendra works the phone like a politician facing recall. My phone buzzes with texts from family friends suddenly interested in my side of the story. Elena, darling, I always told your father how impressed I was with your business acumen, writes Aunt Patty, who once asked if I needed money for real clothes at Thanksgiving dinner 3 years ago. Kendra says she's been your biggest cheerleader. Is that true? Asks my father's golf partner's wife. I set my phone face down on my desk and turn to the window. My company's name stretches across the parking lot sign, Elevated Events Catering. Not a taco truck in sight, though I keep the original restored in our headquarters lobby. A reminder. Miranda enters with coffee and arches an eyebrow. Kendra called me directly. Offered to smooth things over woman to woman. Said you were always too sensitive about constructive criticism. I snort. What did you tell her? That I bill $400 an hour for smoothing. Miranda's lips twitch. She hung up. Tyler sits in my waiting room when I return from lunch. His face is drawn, eyes rimmed with sleeplessness. The honeymoon to Bali postponed, according to the society pages. You could have told me, he says when I invite him into my office. I gesture to the leather chair opposite my desk. Would you have believed me? He shakes his head, looking around at the awards lining my walls, the framed magazine feature calling me Dallas's catering wonderkind. Abigail gave me an ultimatum, he admits. Set boundaries with them, or he trails off, twisting his wedding band. I found photos, he continues after a long silence. In Dad's study, all those pictures Kendra said were lost in the move. His voice catches. Mom holding you at the lake. Your quinceañera. All of them. Hidden, not lost. Something breaks loose inside my chest. Not a dam, more like a single brick dislodging from a wall I've maintained for years. She wanted you to forget her, Tyler says. I let her do that. I'm sorry, Elena. 2 days later, we gather at Miranda's office. My father signs the NDA with a fountain pen that scratches loudly in the silence. Kendra's face remains frozen in fury beside him. The matter is settled, Miranda announces. Elegant Occasions remains under Elevated Events ownership. No further legal claims will be pursued by either party. The incident will not be discussed publicly. The settlement cost me nothing but saves their pride. I didn't want their money. I wanted acknowledgement. The documents contain no apology, but signatures speak their own truth. Kendra opens her mouth. My father touches her wrist in warning. She snaps it shut. Elena, my father begins, his voice uncertain. I stand, gathering my portfolio. The documents cover everything necessary. The words come out steady, professional. I extend my hand. He stares at it for 3 seconds before shaking it briefly. Business concluded. Tyler awaits me in my headquarters 2 weeks later. I give him the tour myself, the industrial kitchens, the tasting rooms, the fleet of catering vans emblazoned with our logo. Jesus, Lena, he whispers, using my childhood nickname for the first time in years. 7 figures, 40 employees, all this while they were. He trails off, staring at the original taco truck displayed proudly in our lobby. While they were telling everyone I was playing restaurant, I finished for him. Yes. He slumps into a chair in my office, running a hand through his hair. Kendra's been moving money, since before the wedding, Dad's retirement accounts, the house equity. I wait, saying nothing. I think that's why she pushed so hard for me to marry into Abigail's family, he continues. Connections, money, it was never about love. And now? Now Abigail and I are looking at houses in Austin. His smile reaches his eyes. Fresh start. Away from all of it. I nod, feeling neither triumph nor vindication, just quiet affirmation of what I've known all along. That sounds healthy. The Anderson Family Charity Gallery, newest client, bustles around me. I move through the crowd in a simple black dress, overseeing my staff with unobtrusive signals. 3 society matrons, who once ignored me at Kendra's garden parties, now compete for my attention. Elena, darling, we must talk about my daughter's wedding. Mrs. Whitfield gushes. I smile graciously and pass her my business card. My events coordinator would be delighted to set up a consultation. Across the room, Tyler and Abigail enter, making their first public appearance since the wedding disaster. Abigail spots me and weaves through the crowd, Tyler following. Beautiful event, she says, genuine admiration in her voice. Your staff is incredible. Tyler hands me a small velvet pouch. Found this in the packing, thought you should have it. Inside lies our mother's silver locket, the one Kendra claimed had been misplaced during the move. The cool metal warms against my palm, a small piece of my history reclaimed. I don't cry, don't gloat, don't need to. I simply stand in my truth, a woman who built an empire while they weren't looking. I stand at the floor-to-ceiling windows of my expanded headquarters, watching the sunset paint the Dallas skyline in hues of amber and gold. The new event space below stretches out in elegant minimalism copper accents, catching the fading light, tables arranged with mathematical precision. My reflection hovers like a ghost against the glass, and for a moment I see my mother's eyes looking back at me. 1 year. That's all it took to transform everything. On my desk, a silver frame holds a recent photo, Tyler and Abigail flanking me at their favorite restaurant, all of us laughing at something Abigail said. Beside it sits another frame, this one holding the business license for Elevated Events Catering. No longer seeking validation from people who refuse to give it, I've found something better. Peace in my own skin. My phone buzzes with a calendar reminder. Dinner with Tyler and Abby, 7:30. Our monthly tradition now, these dinners. Sometimes they're quiet affairs with deep conversation. Other times they're filled with laughter and plans for the future. Always, they're honest. I touch the small pendant at my throat, the only piece of my mother's jewelry I managed to save from the purge. Behind me on the credenza sits a photograph of the memorial garden I planted at my home. Rosemary for remembrance, lavender for peace. All the flowers my mother once tended, now growing again. Your 4 o'clock is here, Marco says from the doorway. My operations manager now cook gestures to a nervous-looking young woman clutching a portfolio. Send her in, I say, turning from the view. And Marco, thanks for staying late to prep for tomorrow's mentoring session. He nods, understanding the significance. The young entrepreneurs program all kids from broken homes, foster care, or family situations that mirror what mine once was. Giving them what I never had. Someone who believes in their vision. Last week, my father called. Our conversations remained brief, stilted with the awkwardness of too much history and too little practice at honesty. But they happen now. Small steps. His voice no longer slurs, and he's stopped defending Kendra's actions. Progress, of a sort. Kendra herself remains bitter, spreads occasional rumors about my business practices. I've learned to let them wash over me like rain on a window. My life no longer has room for her opinions. Tyler has found his own path to healing. He and Abigail bought a small house across town, far enough from our father's influence to establish their own traditions. Close enough to join me for impromptu Sunday brunches when the mood strikes. The renewal ceremony they held last month was everything their original wedding should have been: intimate, joyful, honest. My team catered it with quiet pride, and I stood beside Abigail as her witness. When several family friends commented on the difference, "You all seem so much happier now," I just smiled. Some truths need no explanation. The scholarship fund I established in my mother's name will send its first recipient to culinary school next fall. The original taco truck sits in our headquarters lobby, restored in Glamingo, reminder of beginnings and persistence. Employees bring their children to see it. Tell them anyone can build something meaningful if they refuse to give up. Later, after everyone has gone home, I unlock my bottom desk drawer and remove an old photo album. My mother smiles up at me from a faded Polaroid, her arms around 7-year-old me as we make tortillas together, her hands guiding mine, flour dusting our cheeks. "I think you'd be proud," I whisper to her image. Not of the business, but of the trees. Standing up for myself wasn't revenge, it was respect. The bridges I chose not to rebuild weren't failures. They were acknowledgments of foundations too damaged to support anything healthy. I close the album and place it back in the drawer. Through the windows, stars have begun to appear in the darkening sky. I gather my things, turn off the lights, and head out to meet my brother and his wife. My chosen family waits. Some bonds are forged in blood, others in choice. The strongest are built on respect. I stand frozen in Diane's living room, the leather vacation folder clutched in my hands, watching her face transform like a beautiful sunset suddenly swallowed by storm clouds. Just seconds ago, her eyes had sparkled with delight as she opened the Sedona brochure, her perfectly manicured fingers tracing over the luxury resort photos. "Oh my, is this where we're staying?" she gasped, her voice lifting with pleasure as she examined the private casitas overlooking Cathedral Rock. Logan stands beside me, his hand warm against the small of my back, pride radiating from his smile. I feel a bloom of hope in my chest. After 2 years of marriage to her son, maybe this would finally be the gesture that brings Diane and me closer. "The spa packages are included," I explain, pointing to the list of amenities. "And I reserved spots for the sunrise hot air balloon ride you've always wanted to try." Her smile widens as she flips through the itinerary I spent weeks perfecting. "This is absolutely wonderful. Who planned all this?" "Brianna did," Logan answers, squeezing my waist gently. "She's been organizing it for months." The change happens in an instant. The warmth in Diane's eyes vanishes, replaced by something cold and assessing. She carefully closes the brochure and hands it back to me, her movements deliberate and suddenly formal. "Oh," she says, the single syllable falling between us like a stone. "I assumed it was Logan's idea." "We both wanted to celebrate your birthday," I offer, confusion creeping into my voice. "Everyone's excited. Your friends Marjorie and Susan already confirmed they can make it." Diane's face tightens. She smooths her linen slacks with practiced precision. "This trip is meant to bring real family together," she says, her voice honeyed but her eyes flat. "And you're not real family, dear." The blood rushes from my face so quickly I sway slightly on my feet. Logan's arm tightens around me. "Mother," he starts, but my trembling fingers clutching the brochure cut through his words. From the kitchen doorway, Troy and Kyle watch with barely concealed smirks. Troy, the older brother, leans against the doorframe with calculated casualness. Kyle, the younger, doesn't bother hiding his satisfaction. "What exactly do you mean by that?" I ask, my voice smaller than I intend. Diane sighs like I'm a child who can't grasp a simple concept. "Logan's father always wanted our family vacations to be just us. His sons, myself, our traditions. I can't dishonor Richard's memory by changing that now." The brochure shakes in my hands, my mind flashing back to the nights I spent at our dining room table, laptop open to a dozen travel websites. The careful calculations to make the $6,200 luxury weekend possible on our budget. The calls to Diane's closest friends, their genuine excitement, a sharp contrast to the dismissive text messages I received from Troy and Kyle. "If you want to do it yourself." And I had done it myself. Every last detail. I invited your friends, I say. They've already booked their flights. I'll explain the misunderstanding to them, Diane replies smoothly. They'll understand that family comes first. Logan's face has drained of color. You can't be serious, Mother. Brianna is my wife. She is family. Troy pushes away from the doorframe and steps forward, his face arranged in practiced concern. Mom has been through so much this year with her arthritis. She just wants things comfortable and familiar. Which means just us, Kyle adds, his tone making clear who us includes and who it doesn't. Something shifts inside me, a quiet strength I didn't know was waiting. My voice emerges steady and clear. If you're not going, then this trip won't be what you think it is. Diane blinks, startled by the resistance. She's a woman unused to having her edicts questioned, especially by someone she considers an outsider. Excuse me? I've already paid the deposits. Your friends are coming. The reservations are in my name. Each sentence drops between us like a small certain stone. So, if you're not attending, it will simply be a different kind of family celebration. Logan finally finds his voice, stronger than I expected. She spent months planning this for you, Mother. Every detail, because she knows how much you love the Southwest. Diane's mouth opens, then closes. For the first time, uncertainty flickers across her face. I tuck the brochure back into its folder, my decision crystallizing with each passing second. The question burns in my mind as I meet her cold stare. What would you do if someone rejected your kindness so publicly? Stay silent or take a stand? My next move will change everything. Logan grips the steering wheel, his knuckles bone white against the black leather. We haven't spoken since leaving his mother's house 20 minutes ago. The radio plays softly some oldies station. He usually sings along Tobut. The melodies float between us, unacknowledged. I stare out the passenger window, watching suburban landscapes blur past. Manicured lawns, trimmed hedges, perfect facades hiding God knows what within. I need to tell you something, Logan finally says, his voice cracking on the last word. I turn to face him. A muscle twitches in his jaw. I've been supporting them, all of them, for years. The words hang in the air between us. I wait, giving him space to continue. Mom hasn't worked since Dad died. She could. She's only 58, but she doesn't. He swallows hard, Adam's apple bobbing. Troy loses every job he gets. Kyle starts businesses that fail within months, and I keep writing checks. My stomach tightens. How much? Logan makes a right turn, slower than necessary. Too much. At home, I stand frozen in our office doorway while Logan pulls out a worn leather checkbook from the back of his desk drawer. Not our joint checkbook I've never seen before. He flips it open, revealing pages of meticulous entries in his precise handwriting. This is a separate account, he explains, voice hollow, for family expenses. I flip through page after page, year after year. The mortgage payment for Diane's 4-bedroom house. Troy's rent for an apartment he could never afford on his own. Kyle's business loans that never show repayment entries. The amounts steal my breath. Nearly a third of our income. 5 years, Logan whispers. I've been paying Troy's rent for 5 years. I sink into the desk chair, mind racing through our shared calendar. The cruise we canceled last summer when Diane suddenly needed a new roof. The house down payment we've been struggling to save for. All while Logan funneled thousands to his family. They plan these emergencies, I say softly, realization dawning. They always happen right before we're about to do something for ourselves. Logan nods, tears welling in his eyes. I'm so ashamed. I take his hand, forcing myself to breathe evenly. Tell me everything. The stories pour out of him, dating back to his college years. How Diane weaponizes his father's memory to maintain control. How Kyle monitors Logan's family duty with calculating precision. The girlfriends before me, systematically driven away. They'll never accept anyone who threatens their security, Logan says, his shoulders slumped with the weight of admission. And you smart, financially savvy, you are their biggest threat. At 2 a.m., with Logan finally asleep beside me, I slip from our bed and call Emma. I can't believe this, she whispers after I recount everything. They're not rejecting you, Bree. They're protecting their meal ticket. The words strike with the clarity of absolute truth. What are you going to do? She asks. I don't know yet. But by morning, I do. My parents call at breakfast. They listen without judgment, offering support without pushing opinions. Dad simply says, "We trust you to handle this right, Brianna. You always have." Their confidence steadies me as I research flight cancellation policies. Logan walks into the kitchen as I hang up, his eyes red-rimmed but clearer than I've seen in months. "Let's reclaim this trip," he says, surprising me with his firmness. "For us." That afternoon, I cancel Diane's reservations with steady hands. The resort is sympathetic when I explain we're dealing with a family health issue. Not entirely a lie, this family is sick with something money can't cure. I make 3 calls to our closest friends. They accept the last-minute invitation with genuine excitement. No guilt trips, no manipulations, just simple joy at the prospect of shared experiences. When Logan returns from work, I show him the revised itinerary. Relief and guilt war across his face. "Are you sure?" he asks. "Completely." That night, I sleep peacefully for the first time in months. No tossing, no turning, no mental calculations of how to win Diane's approval. My phone buzzes at 6 a.m. A text from Troy. "Mom is crying because of you. Happy now?" I sit up in bed, fingers hovering over the keyboard. I type several responses, then delete them one by one. She deserves better than this. Delete. Tell her to get a job. Delete. Stop exploiting your brother. Delete. Finally, I type 2 simple words and hit send. Actually, yes. I block his number before he can respond, then Logan's too, and finally Diane's. They can leave voicemails if it's truly important. But they won't control our vacation. Logan stirs beside me, his hand reaching for mine in the dim morning light. "Everything okay?" he murmurs. I squeeze his fingers. "Better than okay. Everything is finally clear." My phone vibrates for the 12th time since breakfast. I don't need to look to know it's Diane. The messages started at 5:43 a.m. each, one more desperate than the last. "Logan, your mother can't sleep. Call her. This vacation was supposed to be for family. Your father would never have treated me this way." I slide the phone face down on the red rock terrace of our Sedona casita and breathe in the desert air. The sun paints Cathedral Rock in shades of burnt orange and crimson, nothing like the cold Massachusetts autumn we left behind. Logan emerges from the bathroom, his hair still damp from the shower. Another text? 6, actually. I pass him a mug of coffee. "Your brother's joined the campaign too." Logan checks his own phone and flinches. His thumb hovers over the screen before he switches it off completely. "Kyle posted on Facebook. Something about gold diggers destroying families. Subtle. I'm sorry." I touch his arm. "Don't apologize for them anymore." We'd made the decision to together cancel Diane's reservation and invite our friends instead. Marjorie and Susan had still come, delighted to escape early winter. They'd brought their husbands, who hit it off with Logan immediately. Our friend Emma and her husband joined too, flying in from Chicago. My phone buzzes again. I don't reach for it. Logan slips his arm around my waist. "Ready for the hot air balloon?" I lean against him, watching the desert landscape expand before us. Absolutely. The dinner that would have celebrated Diane's birthday becomes something else entirely, a table of 8 at the cliffside restaurant, candles flickering in the breeze, laughter flowing as freely as the wine. "Logan, I've never seen you so relaxed," Susan comments, raising her glass. She's known him since childhood, watched him grow up under Diane's thumb. "You're practically a different person." Logan's eyes meet mine across the table. "I guess I've never really enjoyed a family trip before." After dessert, Emma pulls out her phone. Everyone together. We gather against the backdrop of red rocks and sunset sky. The photo captures something I've never seen fully on Logan's face: freedom. I post it immediately. Beautiful Sedona sunset with people we love. The first hint something is wrong comes when our Uber pulls onto our street. A silver Lexus sits in our driveway. That's my mother's car, Logan says quietly. 3 figures wait on our porch, Diane centered on the swing like a queen on her throne, Troy and Kyle flanking her like sentries. My stomach drops, but I straighten my shoulders. This is our home. Darling, we were so worried. Diane rises, her expression a masterpiece of practiced concern. Her voice wobbles with carefully calibrated emotion. We came to clear things up. Logan hesitates at the base of the steps. Mother, you should have called first. Would you have answered? Kyle steps forward, arms crossed. Though younger than Logan, he's always been Diane's favorite weapon. You've been avoiding everyone for a week while Brianna tears the family apart. That's not what's happening, Logan begins. But Troy has already pushed past me, shoulder colliding with mine as he enters our home without waiting for permission. Kyle follows, and Diane glides in behind them, her perfume a cloying cloud in her wake. Our living room space suddenly feels invaded. Photos from Sedona still display on my open laptop. Diane's eyes lock on them, narrowing slightly. I see you enjoyed our family tradition without us. Her voice could freeze summer air. Using your father's inheritance money for your friends instead of family. Logan's face crumples. It happens so suddenly, decades of manipulation taking their toll in an instant. The confidence from Sedona vanishes. Your father would be ashamed of you, Diane whispers, twisting the knife. Something shifts inside me. A calm I didn't know I possessed settles over me like a shield. I move between them, standing tall in my own home. You need to leave our home. Now. My voice stays quiet but firm. Excuse me? Diane blinks, genuinely startled. This conversation is over. Please leave. Troy steps toward me. You don't get to decide. A knock at the open door interrupts him. Emma stands there, casserole dish in hand, her husband behind her. She lives 3 houses down and must have seen everything through her window. Sorry to interrupt. Brought dinner since you just got back from traveling. Her cheerful voice betrays nothing, but her eyes communicate everything. I'm here. You're not alone. The cavalry has arrived. Diane's mask slips for just a second, revealing the calculation beneath. With witnesses present, she gathers her designer purse. We'll continue this discussion later, Logan, when she isn't controlling you. They leave in a cloud of indignation. The door closes behind them with a soft click that sounds like freedom. Logan collapses onto the couch, hands shaking. I can't believe I let them in. Emma sets the casserole down and squeezes my shoulder before tactfully retreating with her husband, promising to check in tomorrow. The phone rings. Logan's uncle, his father's brother, who hasn't called in years. Then my father calls, asking specifically to speak with Logan man to man. And suddenly, we see the support network we never realized we had. After dinner, Logan disappears into the office and returns with a metal box. I need to show you something. Bank statements, transfer records, years of them. I've been supporting them since I was 24. His voice cracks. Dad's life insurance paid off their house, but Mother never worked after he died. The brothers can't hold jobs. I've been carrying them all. The amounts stagger me. Nearly a third of our income. I keep thinking if I just help enough, they'll finally. He can't finish. I place my hand over his. We're not responsible for adults who refuse to grow up. He looks at me, really looks at me, and nods slowly. The certified letter arrives exactly 1 week later. Logan's hands shake as he tears open the heavy envelope. Legal letterhead stares up at us, cold and official. His face goes pale. They're suing me for my father's inheritance money. I grip Logan's hand as we sit side by side in our lawyer's spacious office. The rich scent of polished wood and leather fills the air, a stark contrast to the knot churning in my stomach. Morning light streams through tall windows, highlighting dust motes dancing in the silence as Mr. Patterson spreads our documents across his mahogany desk. "You've given them how much?" Mr. Patterson's eyebrows climb toward his receding hairline as he reviews the financial records I've meticulously organized over these past weeks. $216,000 over 7 years, I answer, my voice steadier than my heartbeat. Each statement, each transfer, each check all laid out in chronological order, color-coded by recipient. Green for Diane, blue for Troy, orange for Kyle. Logan stares at the total, his face pale. I didn't realize it was that much until Brianna put it all together. Mr. Patterson removes his reading glasses, places them deliberately on the desk. "And now they're suing you for inheritance money you never touched?" He shakes his head. Bold move. "They're desperate," I say, straightening my spine against the leather chair. "We cut them off completely last month. No more transfers, no more emergency bailouts, nothing." Logan nods. "Troy's car was repossessed 3 days ago. Kyle's landlord called me twice about late rent." "Let me be clear." Mr. Patterson leans forward, his voice taking on an edge that wasn't there before. "This lawsuit isn't just frivolous, it's offensive. We'll file a counterclaim for legal fees and harassment." Hours later, I'm still at my desk when Logan bursts through our front door, his tie askew, face flushed. "They showed up at my office," he says, dropping his briefcase with a thud. "All 3 of them, right in the middle of my client meeting." I stand quickly. "What happened?" Mom cried. "Troy tried to intimidate me. Kyle said I was betraying Dad's memory." Logan loosens his tie with sharp, angry movements. "In front of everyone." "And?" The word hangs between us, weighted with possibility. A slow smile spreads across Logan's face. "I told them to leave or I'd call security. And when they didn't, I did exactly that." My phone rings before I can respond. I don't recognize the number, but the area code belongs to Logan's hometown. "Hello? Brianna? This is Martha, Diane's sister." The voice is hesitant, nothing like Diane's polished confidence. "I got your number from Susan. I wanted to." "Well, I need to hear what's really going on." I catch Logan's eye, put the phone on speaker. "What did Diane tell you?" "That Logan's stolen inheritance money, that you've turned him against the family." Martha's voice wavers. "But Susan showed me your text messages about the lawsuit." Things aren't adding up. Over the next hour, the truth begins its slow, inevitable spread. Martha calls, then Logan's cousin James, then his childhood friend Patrick. By evening, Logan's phone buzzes with a message from his uncle Robert. "I have Dad's original will and trust documents." Logan reads aloud, his voice tight with emotion. "The inheritance money they're claiming you stole was never yours to begin with. It went straight into Mom's account when Dad died. I'll send everything tomorrow." 3 weeks later, we stand in the courthouse hallway, the judge's words still ringing in our ears. "Case dismissed with prejudice. Countersuit for legal fees granted. Your mother's lawyer just withdrew from the case." Mr. Patterson says, closing his leather portfolio with a satisfied snap. Apparently, she neglected to tell him certain, pertinent facts. Logan stares through the glass doors where Diane stands on the courthouse steps, mascara tracking down her cheeks as Troy gestures wildly beside her. Kyle is nowhere to be seen. "What happens now?" Logan asks quietly. "They'll receive the bill for our legal fees by Friday," Mr. Patterson says. "Given their financial situation, I doubt they can pay it." As if summoned by those words, Logan's phone rings. Troy's name flashes on the screen. "Don't answer it," I say. Logan watches the phone until it stops ringing. I'm not. The phone immediately rings again. This time, Logan turns it completely off. That evening, a different kind of call comes through Kyle's girlfriend, Rebecca, her voice small and uncertain. "I've been with Kyle for 2 years, and I've never seen him like this," she tells me. "He applied for a job at Palmer's Hardware today. He's never had a real job before." I say nothing, letting the silence speak volumes. Is it true? She finally asks. About the money? Every word, I answer. The next morning, our doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see Diane standing on our porch, her usual perfect appearance noticeably disheveled. Logan! I call up the stairs. Your mother's here. He joins me at the door but doesn't open it. What do you want to do? I think of the years of manipulation, the tears, the constant drain on our resources, our energy, our love. Nothing, I answer. Let's do nothing. We stand together, watching through the side window as Diane rings the bell again, then knocks, then finally leaves a folded note on the welcome mat before walking slowly to her car. Logan doesn't retrieve it until evening, and when he does, he barely glances at the foreclosure notice before dropping it in the recycling bin. Not our problem, he says, and for the first time since I've known him, the words carry no trace of guilt. That night, Logan receives a notification that his distant cousin has posted about the situation on Facebook. The community's response is immediate and overwhelming. Our phones overflow with messages of support, of similar stories, of long-held suspicions finally confirmed. When Diane's desperate voicemail comes through, "You can't just abandon family." Logan listens once, then deletes it without a word. What happens when manipulators lose all their power? He asks, turning to me with clear eyes. I take his hand, feeling the steadiness that wasn't there before. They face reality, maybe for the first time. I stand in the doorway of Logan's uncle's living room, observing the scene they've staged with military precision. Family photos line every surface. 3 generations of Matthew's men stare back at me from silver frames, their eyes seeming to follow my movements. Logan's elderly grandparents sit on the floral couch, hands folded in their laps like sentinels of tradition. The trap has been carefully set. Thank you both for coming, Diane says, her voice honeyed with practiced sincerity. She wears a pearl necklace I've never seen before, her hair freshly styled. Family healing requires everyone's participation. Troy and Kyle flank her like twin bodyguards, their faces arranged in expressions of somber concern. Kyle keeps nodding at everything Diane says, his performance of the devoted son almost convincing if I hadn't spent 2 years watching the act. We've all had time to reflect, Diane continues, gesturing toward the empty seats directly across from her. The position would place Logan and me with our backs to the door, facing the entire family. And we realize communication has broken down. Logan's fingers tighten around mine. 6 months ago, he would have immediately sat where directed, eager to please. Today, he remains standing beside me. We've come to understand we haven't always been our best selves. Troy adds, his voice scratchy with what I suspect is rehearsed remorse. Family is everything, right? Dad always said that. At the mention of his father, Logan's Uncle Frank shifts uncomfortably in his armchair. I catch his eye briefly, note the uncertainty there. Diane had told him this gathering was for reconciliation. The folder tucked under my arm suggests otherwise. You've supported us through difficult times. Kyle chimes in, his gaze fixed somewhere over Logan's shoulder. And we want to show our appreciation by being better, more involved in your life. Logan's grandmother dabs at her eyes with a lace handkerchief. Richard would want his boys together, she whispers. Family stays together, no matter what. Especially now, Diane adds, her tone dropping conspiratorially. There are certain family matters, private things that need addressing. Things your father entrusted only to me. The implied threat hangs in the air. Family secrets leveraged as currency. I step forward, the leather folder warm against my side. Before we continue, I'd like to say something. Diane's smile freezes. This wasn't in her script. Everyone in this room has known Logan his entire life. I begin, my voice steadier than expected. I move toward the coffee table, central to all of them. You've watched him grow into a man who takes responsibility seriously. Perhaps too seriously. I place the folder on the table. The room has gone utterly silent. Diane, Troy, Kyle. I address each one directly, meeting their eyes. Emotional manipulation stops today. Logan steps beside me, his shoulder brushing mine. The contact grounds me. For 14 years, Logan says, opening the folder, I've supported this family financially since I was 24 years old. He spreads bank statements across the coffee table like playing cards. 14 years of transfers, payments, and loans, neatly documented in black and white. My God, Frank murmurs, leaning forward to look at the figures. His eyes widen as he calculates the total. This can't be right. Every penny is accounted for, Logan replies. $273,000 over 14 years. I watch the color drain from Diane's face. Logan points to specific statements. Mom's mortgage payments for the past decade. Troy's gambling debts paid off 3 times. Kyle's failed business ventures, all 3 of them. Kyle jumps to his feet. You offered to help. Don't act like we forced you. Sit down, Frank says sharply, his eyes still on the documents. Let him finish. The power in the room shifts like tectonic plates, subtle but seismic. I've been a good son, Logan says, standing taller than I've ever seen him. I honored Dad's memory by taking care of you. But you've been terrible parents. You've taken and taken, while giving nothing but guilt in return. He pulls a sealed envelope from the folder and places it beside the statements. This makes it official. No more financial support. Not a dollar, not ever. Diane lunges for the envelope, but Frank catches her wrist. Enough, Diane. You have no right, she sputters, her carefully constructed facade crumbling. After everything I've sacrificed. What exactly have you sacrificed? Logan asks quietly. You haven't worked since Dad died. You've lived in a house I pay for. You vacation twice a year on my dime. Troy slams his fist on the table, sending photographs skittering across the surface. You ungrateful little. Troy, Grandmother Matthews gasps. But Troy's mask has slipped completely. You think you're better than us? Without you we'll be fine, just watch. Kyle says nothing, his eyes calculating as he mentally revises his future plans. I watch Diane's transformation from righteous victim to exposed manipulator happen in real time. Her shoulders collapse inward, her expressions cycling through denial, anger, bargaining all within seconds. The elderly relatives draw back from her, physical distance marking their shifting allegiance. Logan gathers the statements, returns them to the folder, and takes my hand. We're done here. We walk toward the door, his steps steady, spine straight. Logan, Diane calls, her voice cracking. You can't just leave, we're family. He turns, looking at his mother with clear eyes perhaps for the first time. Family is earned, not owed, he says. The words fall like stones into stillness. The silence follows us out the door and down the porch steps. In the car, Logan exhales slowly, knuckles white against the steering wheel. Are you okay? I ask softly, studying his profile. Really okay? He turns to me, his eyes both wounded and somehow lighter than before. The question hangs between us and someone truly rebuild after decades of manipulation. His answer will change everything. The morning sun streams through our kitchen windows, casting golden rectangles across the butcher block island Logan installed last month. 6 months have passed since we walked out of that final confrontation, and the evidence of our freedom surrounds us. Fresh sage green paint on walls that once held family photos Logan couldn't bear to look at. New hardwood floors where carpet once trapped decades of tension. Coffee? Logan holds up the carafe, his shoulders relaxed in a way I'm still getting used to. The permanent furrow between his brows has smoothed out, making him look years younger. Please. I accept the mug, our fingers brushing. Excited about the dinner party tonight? Logan smiles a real smile that reaches his eyes. Actually, I am. Never thought I'd say that about entertaining. The promotion came 3 months after he stopped bankrolling his family. With his attention fully on his own career instead of solving their endless emergencies, his boss finally saw what I'd always known: Logan is brilliant when not crushed under obligation. By sunset, our backyard transforms. String lights twinkle overhead, and the china I originally bought for Diane's birthday celebration now graces our patio table. The irony isn't lost on me. Emma raises her glass. To 1 year of freedom. 1 year of peace, Logan counters, his voice steady and sure. The laughter that follows from him sounds nothing like the nervous chuckle he once used to diffuse family tension. This is real joy, rich and unencumbered. Our therapist would be proud. Those weekly sessions were Logan's idea after the dust settled. I need to understand why I let them control me for so long, he'd said. Now he can spot guilt tactics a mile away, dismantling them before they take root. I watch him across the table, confidence flowing through his movements as he serves the grilled salmon. The money that once disappeared into his mother's bottomless needs now builds our Futura-growing savings account, retirement plans, possibilities. You two make it look easy, Logan's cousin Melissa whispers as we clear plates. Her new husband hovers nervously by the grill, still shocked from his first holiday with the extended family. It wasn't, I answer honestly. But your piece is non-negotiable, Melissa. Remember that. Our home has become sanctuary for the family's other outsiders. Last Thanksgiving, when Troy started his usual backhanded comments toward his wife, Logan simply stood up and said, "We don't speak to each other that way anymore." The shocked silence was worth every painful step of our journey. The table buzzes with conversation when Logan's phone rings. He pulls it from his pocket, glances at the screen. Diane Mobile flashes with a photo I haven't seen in months. Logan pauses, his thumb hovering over the screen. Something flickers across his face, not guilt, not anguish, just quiet acknowledgement. He silences the ringer and slips the phone back into his pocket, returning to the conversation without missing a beat. I catch his eye across the table and nod once. He doesn't need my permission or approval anymore, but the small gesture says, "What words can't I see you choosing yourself?" And I'm proud. Later, as guests depart with warm hugs and promises to return soon, we stand hand in hand looking out at the garden we've planted together. I was thinking, Logan says, his voice soft in the evening air. Maybe we should start talking about kids. Yeah? Yeah. I think I'm ready to be the father mine never was. I squeeze his hand. I spent years trying to be accepted by people who saw me as a threat. The truth was, I threatened their comfortable dependence. When I stopped trying to win their approval, I found something better: my self-respect. Logan turns to me, moonlight catching in his eyes. And I learned that real family lifts you up, not weighs you down.